I go off on the doubled standards of the leftist media. This is what they don't want you to hear. Well, that's good. I want to hear what they don't want me to hear. That's really what I'm here to hear. Here. Jesus. No colorful thumbnail, though, this time. Very sad.
Max.
Oh, hold on.
Don, it's amazing that almost every single day there's some example from the media of a story they reported last year one way, and then this year, magically, that story is completely turned around. We're talking about hydroxychloroquine.
No, we're not.
We're talking about Lafayette Square and the photo
No, we're not.
op with your father. Does it ever cease to amaze you at how wrong and how often the media is wrong on these stories?
Yeah, it was actually person, woman, man, camera, TV. Everybody thought he'd gotten the order wrong, but that was fake news.
No, because I've been watching. It's absolutely insane. I remember when you were evil and spreading conspiracy theories when you asked, hey, do you think maybe the virus spread from the lab in Wuhan that studies said virus? Oh my God, there's no way that could have happened.
One moment, if I may. You couldn't even talk about it. Guys, you couldn't even discuss it. You couldn't even, I mean, you could in an article from April of 2020, why these scientists still doubt the coronavirus leak from a Chinese lab. A Wuhan lab studied SARS-related viruses, but there's no evidence it discovered or was working on the new virus. That was in editor's note, May 24. Since this piece was originally published in April 2020, scientific consensus has shifted. Now some experts say the lab leak theory warrants an investigation, along with the natural origin theory, and information in this article may be out of date. For our most up-to-date coverage for the coronavirus pandemic, visit Vox's Coronavirus Hub. So this is the title of the article, by the way. It wasn't like, how dare they? And this is Vox. This isn't Fox. This isn't MSNBC. This is Vox of the let's buy HuffPost and turn it into Vox Post fame. Again, who was getting shut down for asserting this? Your dad was catching shit for calling it the Kung Flu and being an anti-Chinese bigot towards the people, allowing rich Chinese people to come over here and fly to our meatpacking plants in the middle of the pandemic, but not letting Chinese people with relatives here who tested negative to come to visit their relatives. I mean, he had a travel ban for me and for thee and not for me policy.
It must have come from a bat that someone was eating, not the lab that studies these things.
One of the primary stories that came out was that someone from the lab was selling the animals they were using there in the wet market that they had used, when working on these viruses and all that kind of stuff, whether they'd gotten it naturally and it had that disease in it, or whether they put it in there to see if it would spread, but someone was selling it in the wet market, that under the table, that this is a graft and guanxi problem that Chinese have.
Was always the most plausible argument. It was always the most logical response and answer. But because that would make China look bad, that would help.
Yeah, your dad avoided talking about it. Just throwing that out there.
Donald Trump. So anything and everything they can do.
Should we go through the number of times your dad said that the Chinese were being completely transparent? And he was that. I mean, this isn't just people like you and me talking on the internet about what we think might have happened or may have happened, or what, colloquially we might agree on is sort of a logical path and where it came from. No. This is the president of the United States with access to all of our intel was like, I think the Chinese are being awesome.
Imagine I had, let's call it the Hunter Biden laptop. Imagine I had...
Yeah, you would have to imagine it because it doesn't exist.
The texts that have just come out saying the very racist stuff that Hunter Biden was saying. It would be...
that are alleged from that same laptop, which I don't believe. Again, show me the laptop. You know Rudy Giuliani personally. He's your dad's attorney. Get the laptop from him. Hold it up everywhere you go. Wear it like a clock around your neck.
Non-stop news coverage to try to hurt myself and my family. The Bidens, they get a total pass. We've seen it. You're right. Hydroxychloroquine, that could have saved millions. Look at
Oh. One moment. Just real quick. 14 relevant studies, 12 studies of chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine used to treat COVID-19 in 8,569 adults, 2 studies of hydroxychloroquine to stop COVID-19 in 3,346 adults who had been exposed to the virus but had no symptoms of infection. These are asymptomatic people. The authors did not find any completed studies of the medicines to stop COVID-19 in people who were at risk of exposure to the virus. Studies are still underway. The studies took place in China, Brazil, Egypt, Iran, Taiwan, North America, and Europe. One study was worldwide. Some studies were partly funded by pharmaceutical companies that manufacture hydroxychloroquine. And still, nothing. No help. You know what hydroxychloroquine is good for? Helping asymptomatic people who weren't going to go to the hospital not go to the hospital.
what Fauci has done with the mask. They'll do whatever they can to protect him from those emails. And an attack.
Yeah, the emails are no big deal. We covered those.
Attack on Anthony.
I mean, he could keep trying.
Fauci is an attack on science. That's like saying today that an attack on Bill Cosby is an attack on comedy.
What?
It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's saying...
You do realize Bill Cosby had fewer victims come out against him than your dad. Just might not be.
But that's how these guys function. There is no more media. They're not reporting the news. They're reporting whatever it takes to create and effectuate their political objective. And it's absolutely disgusting. And we have to wake people up to it. Because if, there are big percentages now of Biden voters. Oh, wow, had I known about this, I would have never voted for this guy.
And by the way, that's supposedly the Hunter Biden laptop idea.
Like, I wrote a book on it last year. This information was readily available. But between the media and big tech, they did what they could to...
Yeah, hydroxychloroquine is a great help if you never actually get sick from COVID already. Like if you're in the 80-20 group of people who get it asymptomatically and survive it, hydroxychloroquine's awesome. If you're if you're in the 20% group that goes to the hospital, it's of no use whatsoever. So why are you taking a drug that might cause heart problems, or that if overused or underused or not moderated properly with your doctor, and busying your doctor, by the way, dealing with how much your dosage should be and all that kind of stuff. You're just taking that all the time and producing a lot of it and buying a lot of it and spending a lot of money on it as a nation, because we bought a shit ton of hydroxychloroquine, if you'll recall, last year, and it doesn't help. That's like, these are the best tissues if you never have to blow your nose.
To suppress it, to make sure that no one saw the truth. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing it in the Middle East. We're seeing it on our border. We are seeing it.
What are we seeing in the Middle East? Oh, right, the ceasefire. Yeah, it's holding. That's nice.
With our energy independence going down the tube.
No, it isn't. And I guess we're not going to hear about lumber prices, I'm guessing.
We're seeing it with commodity and energy pricing going through.
Oh, commodity and energy pricing. Let's see. Commodities, let's see. Lumber prices. Let's see. I'll just do this. I mean, this is Get used to this, by the way, as the rest of the year goes on and supply chain issues get handled. Lumber prices see biggest drop in history after historic highs. After a year that saw record high lumber prices and shortages nationwide, the price for lumber finally began to drop last week. Gee, how long has Joe Biden been president? Lumber futures posted their biggest drop Tuesday at $1,009.90 per thousand board feet, down 41% from the record of $1,700 in May. The Wall Street Journal reported before the COVID-19 pandemic, it traded in the range between 300 and 500 per thousand board feet. It's going to go back to that, by the way. I find price discovery in the futures market fascinating. Lumber has been fun to watch. That's why he's not saying lumber. Or maybe he still will. Maybe he's that dumb.
Through the roof. We told you so. Yeah. It was all there. They just tried to hide it from you so they could get what they wanted. And that is seemingly the destruction of America, because they're doing a phenomenal job at that.
You know, we've actually seen some of these clips. I know you shared some of them on social media of these Biden voters sharing their regrets about voting for President Biden. And we do
totally
see,
believable.
I think, a lot of people waking up to the realities of this administration.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, I mean, I was shocked. I mean, that I'm almost tired of winning, I think, is what my problem is.
Do you think that's a harbinger of what we'll see in 2022? Do you think there'll be like a red wave reaction?
Yeah, totally, bro. Yeah, I count on it. You know, I don't even think you guys need to do a get out the vote. I mean, people are so ready to vote for whoever in 2022.
To what we've seen just in the 6 months.
Well, there certainly should be. But again, what they're doing.
Yeah, there won't be.
Is they're able to sort of deflect. They try to, let's look at this other shiny object. Let's talk about something unrelated so that the average person doesn't see it. So, for you and I, we sit there, we consume this stuff all day long. It's part of.
Yes, it's because you don't do anything else. Executive Vice President of the Trump Organization. And what does he do? He consumes this stuff all day long.
Of my life at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you didn't have one before. You're a third-generation slumlord.
Average, hardworking American, they're consuming a couple minutes of news a day. They assume they can trust the reporter on TV. That's a bad assumption. That is where you're going to be misled. And so I don't think as many people will realize it as should realize it, because.
Yeah, that's the problem, really, is that disconnect. Luckily, we have Donald Trump Jr. snorting up the news every day and then rubbing it on his gums so that the rest of us don't have to.
They're going to continue to do this. Social media, mainstream media, they are literally the marketing arm of the leftist and the Democrat Party, which has gone full Marxist. They're okay.
Yeah, full Marxist. That's why lumber prices are coming down, because the Wall Street can see the writing on the wall that we're going to seize the means of production of lumber.
Expressing the truth.
We will be
okay making up nonsense. They're okay running with things that couldn't possibly be accurate just because they can get their little temporary win and try to hold a cloud over Donald Trump or any other conservative's head.
Yeah, they don't really need any help, though. I mean, it's pretty easy, quite frankly. The man walks around with a cloud over his head. We'll get to it in a minute. He seems a little cloudy these days. Stay tuned.
Doing it with reckless abandon, and that's why we have to get out there. Everyone has to be vocal. If we all band together in this, they can't cancel all of us. But if
where were you for the great canceling of 2021? The mass canceling.
One person's the only guy that has the guts to be out there doing it. They can do a pretty good job of.
That's right. If Don Jr.'s alone and no one shares his rumbles.
Pressing that message, and they will do it, as we've seen.
TV.
Yeah, it's coming. It's just rough.